Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
We have never had a president of the United States do what this president is doing. He is stoking a cold civil war in this country, and it has turned hot on the periphery. This man, Bowers, what he said was, when he went in, he said, I can't sit by and watch my people get slaughtered. Screw the optics, I'm going in. And he went in to kill Jews. The Jews he believed that were financing the Caravan, the invading army, like a panzer division that is threatening the southern border, an army that is racked and riddled with disease. The same type of rhetoric, the same type of propaganda that you would have seen in Germany in 1938, the dehumanization, turning people into infested vermin. What Trump is doing is stoking and inciting, for the purposes of political power, the worst amongst us to take action in his name. We have a situation where, for the grace of God, the largest mass assassination attempt in American history was avoided that targeted amongst them two former presidents of the United States. Every one of those people was a target of Donald Trump's. And this man, a fanatic, was radicalized by Fox News, by talk radio, by a right-wing propaganda machine that is as sophisticated as it has turned deadly.
That's the truth. And that is what is going on in this country. There is a steady diet of propaganda that is being just waged on the American people. And I always was under the assumption that propaganda was illegal in the United States, but it isn't, obviously, because this is exactly the German playbook. This is exactly the kind of propaganda. I don't know. I played you yesterday a little clip of Fox News saying that these people from Honduras are coming here and they're riddled with disease. Okay? They doubled down on this yesterday. They started naming diseases. They started saying that they're bringing polio and leprosy and Ebola. And I mean, it's just like real sick crap. Real.
Enemy of the people, which
Right.
there's a lot of people.
I really wish he would lose that term. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't.
That's not the one. 16.
Now, in the national security realm, we've got all sorts of people, not only from Central America, but they're coming in from Africa, from the Middle East, and other places
Oh my
in
God.
this caravan. It's already been documented. It's already been noted by our
That's not
people
true.
that are down there. Then public safety. We've already had people interviewed in this caravan that have already been deported from the United States for crimes such as attempted homicide. Now, these are prior deports that are coming in, and they will not come through the port of entry. They're going to come between the ports of entry, where it's the path of least resistance. Then public health. We have these individuals coming from all over the world that have some of the most extreme medical care in the world. And they're coming in with diseases such as smallpox and leprosy and TB that are going to affect our people in the United States.
Smallpox? Smallpox was where are they coming from? Are they coming from 1979? That's where they're coming from? Because we eradicated smallpox in 1979. Leprosy. Can you believe this? They're lepers. They're lepers. That's who's coming here, which, by the way, is extremely curable. It's a skin disease. Honestly, and It's not just the one show, okay? It's all over the place.
It's a foreign invasion. So, yes, he can send the national military down to protect the border. I'm glad he's doing that. It's a strong stance. It must be taken because we simply cannot tolerate the continued invasion of this country when Americans are suffering every day. The national debt is exploding. We have diseases spreading across the country that are causing polio-like paralysis of our children. It's one thing after the other.
Senator, you can't very well blame that disease on illegal immigrants. We don't know the cause of it. I don't know that that's. I don't think that's fair. A lot of, but there are plenty of reasons to keep this country secure, including making sure that everyone is healthy when they're brought into the country.
This is sick shit. I mean, I don't even know what to say. We can't have them and the word invasion, this is the word now. The word is invasion. Trump started it. Laura Ingraham interviewed him last night. She asked him about the invasion. Every pundit, every spokesperson, every lunatic, right fringy person was on Fox News asserting everything from smallpox to leprosy to polio to paralysis to TB, you name it. And they are, and calling 3,500 people who will, by the way, surrender themselves. The minute they set foot on American soil, that is what they do. They surrender themselves to the Border Patrol agents and they ask for asylum. That is what happens. Nobody, tries to outrun them. Nobody tries to avoid them. Nobody tries to evade them. They want to look for the person from Border Patrol. They look for the green uniform. Why? Because they want to surrender to that person and make a claim of asylum. That is what goes on. And they call it an invasion.
The New York Times is saying the military, Mr. President, being called up by you is an election year play. Is this politics or is this real?
When you look at that, thousands of people. Somebody said, now on that one they built it down. I'm pretty good at figuring out how many people. Thousands and thousands of people on the bridge. When you looked at that bridge loaded up with people, that's called an invasion of our country. This has nothing to do with elections. And I've been saying this long before election. I've been saying this before I ever thought of running for office. We have to have strong borders. If we don't have strong borders, we don't have a country.
He's sending a brigade-sized unit down to the military. He's deploying 5,200, which is a brigade-sized unit, down to the border. They will be armed. He's making a very big deal about sending an armed brigade down to the border. What's horrific about this? Number one, using the military to advance political aims in a midterm election is just vile. That is just disgusting. And as a vet, I swear to God, it makes me sick. Number two, the military cannot enforce laws on U.S. soil. They can't do it. So what you're doing is you're sending out a brigade-sized unit with weapons to do brush clearing or to, technical support or whatever. They can't, Number three, if something should go wrong, you are looking at a bloody, bloody confrontation at the border if something goes wrong. And because the soldiers do have the right of self-defense, they can't enforce any law by gunpoint, blah, blah, blah. That cannot, However, if you have a couple of bad apples in there, if you have a couple of nuts in there, if you have a couple, and everybody who's been in the military knows you're only as good as the weakest among you. You're only as strong as your weakest link. You have a weak link in there. You're supposed to pull them up and help them get up to snuff, because that person can get you killed. Now, I've been saying that for years. That's classic liberalism. I learned it in the military. But I'm telling you right now that a weak person in this brigade who has some sort of a bad feeling or harbors ill will towards people of, different, starts something or claims self-defense and this thing could be a bloody mess, just an absolute mess. And this president is calling it an invasion, and everybody's on the TV calling it an invasion. And I tell you, this is just the sickest, most twisted thing. They're bringing disease and crime and polio and smallpox and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, all this hatred has ratcheted up the weakest among us. Now, you can't say these people are crazy, because if they were crazy, then Bowers and Sayoc and all the other people, they would be able to plead insanity. But they can't, because they're not crazy. They're emboldened by this president who does nothing but tear us apart along religious, racial, economic, you name it. You name it. And now he's saying anchor babies. This is what he said, at a rally in September of 2015. He said, many of the great scholars say that anchor babies are not covered. And he's spreading this now, along with the diseases, along with the crime, along with there's Africans in there, there's and what land bridge did the Africans use to get to Honduras or Central America? How did they get to Central America? You see what I mean? This is crazy. This is evil. This is ugly. And he won't stop, to the point where Shepard Smith is trying. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he goes there every single day. It was bad enough when I worked in between Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, but I didn't have to see them every day, because I was sitting in West Palm Beach and Rush Limbaugh was doing the show out of his house, his mansion in Palm Beach, which, looks like a French gay man threw up all over the place. I mean, it's just, he has no, money can't buy you class. Thanks, Luann Telesebs. But honestly, so I didn't have to run into him. And in fact, there were a couple occasions when I was in New York using the New York studios, and his studio was behind mine, but his studio was always locked, and the blinds were always drawn. He doesn't like people, and he doesn't want to see people, and nobody's allowed to see him, which is great, because you never had to, he never darkened my door. You see what I mean? But I don't know how Shepard Smith goes into work every day knowing Hannity's in the green room getting hair and makeup. I mean, I honestly don't know how he does it. And they work across the street from the New York studio that I used to work in. Literally across the street.
Tomorrow, the migrants, according to Fox News reporting, are more than 2 months away, if any of them actually come here. But tomorrow is 1 week before the midterm election, which is what all of this is about. There is no invasion. No one's coming to get you. There's nothing at all to worry about. When they did this to us, got us all riled up in April, remember?
Yep.
The result was 14 arrests. We're America, we can handle it. But, like I said, a week to the election.
And then today he said,
President Trump says he plans to sign an executive order to end the right of citizenship for children born in the United States whose parents are not citizens and are undocumented immigrants. Of course, he can't do that. The reason? The Constitution. We'll get into that in a moment. Further, constitutional scholars say in the event the president actually tries this move, there would be an immediate injunction and his order would not ever take effect. Earlier today, the House Speaker Paul Ryan concurred, saying flatly to a radio station in Kentucky, the president obviously cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order. Because, again, the Constitution.
Right.
Specifically, the 14th Amendment.
Right.
The Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has long pushed to change the Constitution on this matter, but that would require a 2/3 vote in the House of Representatives, plus a 2/3 vote in the U.S. Senate, and then ratification by 3/4 of the state's legislatures, and that is not under consideration.
Unbelievable. This man will do and say anything to tear our country apart, to tear us apart. 14th Amendment, in case you can't conjure it in your mind, it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning subject to the laws of the United States, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. The 14th Amendment clearly says if you are born here, it determines your citizenship. Now, I will tell you that there is an old case from, I was listening to, my car broke down today. On top of it, okay? This is not a good time for us at the Randi Rhodes Show. I know a lot of you have election fatigue, and we can see it. But I still have to pay the bills. And my car freaking broke down. So I had to listen to AM radio today in a rental car I had to rent to get to work. And I'm listening to Rush Limbaugh lie to his people, lie to them, saying that the president can undo the Constitution and he must. And Trump is the guy to do it. And this all has to end. And screw the Constitution. It's time. Oh, my God. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.